The United States. Washington, D.C. January 13th, 1982. Washington National Airport is just 5 kilometers south of Capitol Hill on the banks of the Potomac River. It's a major hub for flights from across the USA and Canada. On a normal day, more than 400 aircraft land here. But today, the airport is struggling to stay open in the heavy snow. 1:38 p.m. All flights are grounded while snowplows clear the runways. The operation is expected to take an hour.
We regret to inform you that due to the adverse weather conditions, all flights will be grounded for at least an hour while snowplows clear the runways.
At Gate 12, Air Florida Flight 90, a Boeing 737, is held up by the delay.
Seems like every year it gets worse and worse.
Yeah, I know.
I can deal with rain, but this snow is...
Captain Larry Wheaton is 34. He's a family man with 2 children. Roger Pettit, his first officer, is just 31. He's a former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot with an excellent record. But both men have less than 3 years' experience flying 737s. At 2 p.m., Flight 90 begins boarding, 20 minutes late. On the 2-hour flight to Tampa, the aircraft will be just over half full. There are 71 adult passengers and 3 young children. Many are helped aboard by 22-year-old flight attendant Kelly Duncan. For her, the job is a dream come true.
I loved my life as a flight attendant. Whenever I went anywhere in my uniform, people would always comment about it, and it was something that I was very proud of doing and something that I really enjoyed doing.
Near Joe and Nikki are Priscilla Tirado, her 2-month-old son Jason, and her husband Jose. They're relocating to Florida, where Jose has found a job in the construction industry. 2:20 p.m. Captain Wheaton expects the airport to reopen soon. He orders the ground crew to de-ice the 737.
Okay, guys, you can get started.
It's a routine procedure to remove snow and ice from the aircraft before takeoff. But a string of further delays keeps Flight 90 at Gate 12 for another hour. Clearing the runways takes longer than expected. And then there's a backlog of flights. There's nothing anyone on board can do but wait. When clearance to leave Gate 12 is given, there's another delay. Ice on the tarmac makes it difficult to move the 737.
We're too heavy for this ice.
Captain Wheaton decides to help out with a blast of reverse thrust from his engines.
Hey guys, I'm gonna put a little reverse on it.
Are you sure?
No, don't worry, I'll be okay.
3:35 p.m. Flight 90 eventually begins taxiing to the runway 1 hour and 20 minutes behind schedule. It's a relief for flight attendant Kelly Duncan.
When we were finally moving away from the jetway, it was wonderful because I felt like we are finally on our way.
Wheaton and Pettit go through their after-start checklist.
Anti-ice? APU. Running.
Flight 90 then falls in behind other aircraft queuing for takeoff.
2 window exits at the center of the cabin and 2 doors at the front.
Boy, this is bad. Probably the worst snow I've ever seen.
Seatbelts are released as shown.
Both pilots can see snow on their wings. Pettit is concerned.
You know, it's been a while since we've been de-iced.
3:59 p.m. Flight 90 is cleared for takeoff.
Position and hold.
Flight attendants, please take your seats.
At the rear of the passenger cabin, Kelly Duncan straps herself in. Joe Stiley, Nikki Felch, and Priscilla Tirado are just a few meters away. 3:59 p.m. and 45 seconds.
Throttles.
The 737 finally begins to roll down the runway. Seconds later, thrust readings jump past the target level for takeoff.
Now, God, look at that. That don't look right, does it?
Pettit responds by easing the throttles a touch.
Yes, it is. There's 80.
But now, it's taking longer than usual to reach takeoff speed of 144 knots.
That's not right.
Flight 90 eventually hits takeoff speed
Easy.
and leaves the ground.
Me too.
Suddenly, the nose pitches up sharply, and the aircraft starts to shake. In the cockpit, alarms warn the pilots that Flight 90 is about to stall.
Forward.
They have seconds to act. Flight attendant Kelly Duncan doesn't think it's a serious problem.
Of course, I thought it was turbulence that we had come through before, so I wasn't worried about it.
But the pilots know they're in deep trouble. Flight 90's high nose position is creating so much drag that the aircraft is losing speed. Fast.
Easy. All we need is 500.
If the 737 slows down too much, it will stall and then simply drop. Captain Wheaton orders First Officer Pettit to lower the nose by pushing the control column forward.
Forward.
But he can't drop the nose too far, or the plane will stop climbing.
Come on, you're barely fine.
As the shaking intensifies, former pilot Joe Stiley fears the worst.
I remember vividly saying, how the hell do I get out of this airplane now? And knowing that it was too late, I was already kissing my rear end goodbye.
12 seconds after liftoff, Flight 90 has traveled 1 kilometer. 500 meters ahead, the heavy snow has created a traffic jam on the 14th Street Bridge over the Potomac River. Construction worker Marion Grant Jr. is on the northbound span. His truck has hardly moved for 15 minutes.
Traffic wasn't moving at all. Like we'll sit still maybe 3 minutes and we go 5 feet and 5 feet.
4 p.m. and 53 seconds. At an altitude of just 352 feet, Flight 90 suddenly stops climbing and begins to drop. Captain Wheaton jams the throttles forward for maximum thrust. But it's too late. Commuters on the 14th Street Bridge hear the scream of jet engines.
We're falling. Larry, we're going down. I know it.
Joe Stiley is knocked out as Flight 90's fuselage breaks into 4 sections.
I remember the sensation of blacking out, and I remember saying to myself, God help me.
Flight 90's wing has flipped Marion's truck over like a toy, but he stumbles out, alive. The carnage on the bridge is horrific.
I saw a guy crushed to death, you know, and then I saw another guy, seemed like his head was decapitated and stuff like that.
Joe Stiley regains consciousness. His bones are broken in 67 places, but now he has just seconds to cheat death again.
The water was just rising into my nose and coming up fairly quickly. It seemed like forever to get my legs loose because the seats had collapsed. And then I reached over to try to help Nikki get free. And as I get to the rear of the airplane, I know that I'm free because I can suddenly see just a glimmer of light in the water. And then I knew I was free of the aircraft and started up.